All right, I am also recording. Yo, what is going on, Mediocre Gamer fam? It is I, Anthony. I'm here with my best friend, AJ. He's wearing yellow. That's a good color
I
on you,
am
my
wearing
guy.
yellow. Thank you, thank you. I feel like I was
You are
popping
very
today.
welcome. I mean, it's a cool day here in Alabama. It's actually we've actually gotten cold weather. It's been like 50 degrees and like
Wow,
nighttime it gets like 30. I know, right? It took us long enough. Was
it's
wearing
it's pretty warm here actually. Like Nebraska is usually around this time like freezing temperatures, right? Like it's usually like it could easily
mhm.
be snowing right now. It could be a pain in the ass to drive. And today was like 54 and like a light wind.
That's manageable.
It wasn't too
That's
bad.
tolerable. That's about what it is here, actually. I could check the weather. I just don't care enough because it feels like cold to me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. In Mediocre Gamer fam, we are gonna talk about the Game Awards. This fine mediocre gamer day.
Yes, sir. We the Game Awards come out or not come out. They premiere on December 7th, and so we're
Hmm.
just going to go through most of the categories. We are skipping esports and favorite content creator because frankly we don't pay attention to much of either of those. And we're just going to go
Yeah.
through and talk about some games, see what
Sure. And a quick thing
everyone's
about the
nominating.
esports thing, I am super happy that the esports are being included in the Game Awards. Personally, I feel like esports should be bigger. I feel like Western audiences, well, I say Western audiences, American audiences, because they're pretty huge in Europe and like obviously in like Eastern countries. I feel like America just needs to catch up, and I feel like we will. Mortal Kombat 1 sort of is tiptoeing us, ushering us that way. Tekken, same thing. Street Fighter 6, same thing. So I mean, I feel like one day we're gonna be like, oh my gosh, TSM Snapdragon,
Yeah.
totally. But that is not today. And content creator of the year, I'm old and I'm out the loop. So I mean, I can we nominate ourselves for content creator of the year? Can y'all write
Yes.
us?
Yes.
Y'all write us in?
Mediocre Gaming Podcast for Content Creator of the Year 2024. 2023. I think we have a chance of winning. I think
I
we
mean,
do.
2024, maybe. Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't know what the rubric is. I guess like enough people just have to say that we make content. I don't know.
Hey, we'll figure it out eventually. You know,
We will
when it
figure it out
comes
eventually.
time to get put up for this in 2024, we'll figure it out around then. All right.
We shall. Yes, thank you. That's the attitude that I should have. So we're gonna start our little debate, our questionnaire. I don't even know if it's really a debate, just a conversation about the most anticipated game for 2024 at the future times.
Yeah. So the games they have listed here are Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Hades 2, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, which is Yakuza, of course, Star Wars
Mhm.
Outlaws, and Tekken 8.
If I had to get, if I had to pick one, I would probably say Final Fantasy VII. Only because we haven't seen enough of Star Wars Outlaws versus Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a sequel to a remake, which is already regarded as one of the greatest games ever made. So I mean, I don't think it's close.
For me, well, what I think is going to win is Final Fantasy. I agree. That
Okay,
or Star Wars, just because Star Wars is Star Wars, right?
Star Wars is Star Wars.
But it's not where my vote would go. And the
Mhm.
only reason why is because Final Fantasy VII Remake, I played it
Mhm.
and was kind of underwhelmed. And I
Mhm.
understand, I'm talking me personally, of course. I'm not speaking for
Yeah,
everyone,
no, I
but
got you.
I was underwhelmed. I just felt like I was mashing square most of the time. I wanted to enjoy it more, and actually I was let down because I wanted to enjoy it more, if that makes sense. I don't know if I was
No, I
necessarily
got you. Yeah.
overhyped because I'm not a big Final Fantasy person. I loved 15. That ironically is one of my favorite games, but I haven't touched 16 yet. I haven't played any of the other ones besides 7. I
I have a feeling
tried.
you're gonna like 16.
I am very excited. There is
I have a
currently a
feeling.
PSN sale, and I got it for like 40% off. So once I'm done with Jedi Survivor, I'm going to move on to that.
Oh
But
yeah, I forgot you got Jedi Survivor. Yeah.
that's been super fun. Anyways, I am going to give my vote to Star Wars Outlaws only because that is a new game. And well, it's Star Wars, so it's not a new IP. It's a new Star Wars IP, a new character, new story, new everything in that sense. So I personally am more anticipated for that just because Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is going to be the same as Remake, just better. But
Yeah. Okay. You know what? I want to be excited for Star Wars Outlaws, and you're talking to like the Star Wars guy.
uh huh,
Okay, I made my girlfriend watch all of the Star Wars movies because she hadn't seen any of them, and I was like, "You're wrong.
good
We're watching all of them." And so, thank you. And so, also, General Grievous is really underrated, but that's another conversation. Anyway, my point is,
favorite.
my point is, yeah, I think Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is gonna win it. But yeah, I want Outlaws. I just want it to be a good game, dog. I hope it wins Game of the Year. But yeah, I don't. I'm not as excited as I am for literally the rest of them, but most notably Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Just personally,
Yeah, and I didn't know Hades 2 was coming out. I'm really excited about that.
yeah.
Hades 1 was awesome. I didn't think it warranted a sequel, but I'm happy to see it here.
You know something? I feel like that's gonna be like a theme, and I guess we can move on to the next category. But yeah, I'm feeling like that's a theme of just like companies are like, "Yo, this doesn't need a sequel, but let's give it a
Yeah.
sequel." Shout out to Sony with the Last of Us Part Two remaking a 3-year-old game. I get it; it's gonna be optimized for the PlayStation 5. Could have done it when it came out. Whatever, it's not my business. Anyway, best adaptation.
Best adaptation. So, for everyone who doesn't know, that is going to be Castlevania Nocturne, Gran Turismo, the movie, The Last of Us, the Mario Bros. Movie, and the Twisted Metal Show.
I mean, does
Th-
The Last of Us lose?
I think this is actually kind of a hard one because if you look at it like
It is.
truthfully, unbiasedly, like I think The
Mhm.
Last of Us is the most entertaining out of all of these. Yes,
Okay.
but the question is best adaptation. And in the description it says
Ooh, that's
recognizing
tricky. Okay.
outstanding creative work that faithfully and authentically adapts a video game to another entertainment medium. I think just about everything listed here does that exact thing phenomenally, but
Mm-hmm.
in their own way. And so like
Hmm.
Gran Turismo, like that's really hard to make a racing docu film better than The
Yeah, because
Last
it
of
is based
Us.
on a true story of this gamer kid
Yep.
that ends up actually racing Gran Turismo. Which I mean, I don't even know if you can count that as a video game movie. It's an adaptation of a video game story, but whatever.
Yeah, it barely is, but like, yeah, again, like Super Mario Bros. Movie, like, how is Gran Turismo ever going to beat that? No matter how good or bad it is, like, it's Mario, you know? So, like, when you look at all of that, like, Mario was super faithful. They could have gone a little bit deeper and more in depth in the story and lore. I mean, I know Mario's lore isn't crazy, but they could have done a little more flesh characters out.
Mario's lore is kind of crazy, actually, if you like read into like why
Yeah.
there are different islands or whatever. But yeah, no, I don't know. I feel like The Last of Us kind of captured the world in a way that it captured video game fans. Like there were people buying PlayStation 3s when the PlayStation 4 was coming out to play The Last of Us. This is just
Absolutely.
documented,
Yeah.
right? And so I feel like The Last of Us kind of gave everyone the feeling that we had when The Last of Us came out. We were like, "Oh my gosh, this is incredible."
I agree, but that's The Last of Us video game.
Yeah, but I feel like the show did the same thing the video game did, which in a way kind of captures that whole feeling. Like I remember I saw an interview
Yeah.
of like Steven Yeun and talking to Pedro Pascal. Pedro Pascal has never played the game, by the way. Um
Yep, I saw that.
and yeah, and Steven Yeun was like a big fan of the game. So he was just like, "Listen, bro, like you did that." Like he was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, no, you're Joel. I get it." Yeah.
I I am torn on who to give it to between The Last of Us and Super Mario Bros. Movie. I
That's
I,
tough. And that's tough.
I think Gran Turismo filled out the requirement perfectly, but it just can't compete with those two juggernauts. Castlevania Nocturne I have not seen, but I've heard it's absolutely phenomenal.
For
I've
sure.
heard from everyone seen it. They're like, you must see this. So I plan on watching it. Twisted Metal, I watched the first half of the season and I just fell out of it. I thought it was kind of
I mean,
whatever.
yeah.
It's
Yeah, I mean,
fine.
and Twisted Metal is a hard one to even try to adapt because it's just crazy
Yeah.
people and car. It's what was that? What was that movie? There's
Madness.
a movie I'm thinking of.
Mad
There's a
Max?
movie I'm thinking of. Not Mad Max. Was it Death Race?
Oh, Death Race. Yep. I guarantee you it's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's just Death Race, but like with colors, so it's hard to kind of be like, and we're gonna extrapolate that. And
Yeah.
like, don't get me wrong, Anthony Mackie did good, Samoa Joe did good, Will
Yep.
Arnett also did good. Yeah, no, everybody did their thing, but I don't see. And shout out to the Super Mario Brothers movie because I feel like it did something we thought was impossible,
Yeah.
which which was make Mario a movie.
And that's the thing is like everyone sees the Last of Us game and you go, okay, you could easily make that into a series. Like that's
Mhm,
not hard at all. Beat for beat episode, like super simple. Mario's a
mhm.
lot different, and that's why I'm gonna give my vote to Mario because I
Okay,
think it deserves it more genuinely. But I would rather watch
okay,
The Last of Us, and I think that's a more enthralling show for most people. Like you don't need to be a
got
fan
you.
of the medium for The Last of Us. You kind of do for Mario.
Sorta, yeah. Okay, so Who do you think wins it though? Because I personally think The Last of Us wins it just because how big it was. But I could definitely see the Super Mario Brothers
I don't
like
know.
taking it though.
It
That's the
because it's
problem because
Mario. Like Mario's so big.
like Mario's giant. Mario's giant. Mario's
Well,
also nominated for Game of the Year, which we're gonna get to.
you got to
But
remember. You got to remember also like kids are going to be voting on this, and a
Mhm.
lot more of them are going to see Mario movie versus Last of Us.
100%. But so listen, bro, there's a lot of like adult kids like me and you who
Yeah.
grew up on Mario, but also like had to watch The Last of Us. 'Cause it's like, how are you gonna adapt this one part of the story?
Oh, of course, because like Mario, it's not like, oh, are they gonna do it right? Of course, it's Nintendo; they're gonna do it right, and it's like
Real hard to mess
there's
it up.
and yeah, because there's not like there is kind of a basic formula, but there's not like something they had to follow. Like Last of Us, they had to follow the story, and they changed it a
Mhm.
bit. And
They switched it up, but it made
I,
more sense.
I like some of the things. I don't like some of the other things.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, they did a fantastic job with the changes.
I feel like they did the best they could have did with 8 episodes.
Absolutely, I definitely think The Last of Us one should have been more than one season. I think that was a miss, but
Maybe, but like obviously the first season, and then I feel like okay, this is getting into real like baseball talk here, but I feel like Warner Brothers was looking at it like we don't know if people are actually gonna watch this because people are gonna be mad that Pedro Pascal is Joel and Ellie's not actually 12, and like we don't know
yeah,
what's gonna happen. So we're gonna put some money behind it, but let's crutch it. Let's do what we can, boom. And so now obviously we're getting The Last of Us season 2, which is gonna adapt the second game, which just so happens to coincide with the remake of the game. I don't know. But yeah, so I don't know. I think The Last of Us wins it, but I could definitely see Mario taking it.
you know what? Yeah, I think I'm gonna lock into The Last of Us also now. I
Okay.
because that was more of an undertaking. Mario was a fairly safe bet. So
Yeah, like Mario was gonna make his money back regardless. Like how many little kids are gonna see the Super Mario Brothers movie and be like, no, I want to go watch Earth from Echo. Like that's what I'm gonna do. No.
yeah, no. Yeah, lock in Last of Us. Let's move on. We've
All
been
right.
here for
Let's
way
move
too
on.
long.
Listen, and we could do this with all of these. Oh, this is
Oh
tricky.
yeah. Oh,
Best multiplayer. Oh, this is tricky.
see, because it's what makes this really hard is it depends on what you want out of multiplayer. Because like Street Fighter
Exactly.
is so different than Mario, like multiplayer
It's different than
experience
Baldur's Gate
wise.
3,
And
which is
then
different than
Baldur's Gate,
Diablo 4,
and then
which
Party
is very
Animals,
different
like
from Party
they're
Animal.
all just so different. I want to
But
give
see,
it.
here's the thing.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I want to give it to Baldur's Gate 3
Yep.
only because I've never had a multiplayer experience as seamless as Baldur's Gate 3.
Okay. What makes it seamless? I haven't played it.
So okay, so here's the thing about Baldur's Gate 3. It does have local co-op, which is nice. It's just
Yep.
split screen. And it's super easy. Like when I booted it up to actually test this feature out, I was like, okay, where's the actual individual like, multiplayer thing? And I saw like the multiplayer option, but that's just online. So I was like, what is even going on? So I hop in the game. I had to actually go to the wiki to figure out how to do it. Literally on my PlayStation 5, I'm playing the game. You take your second controller, turn it on, press X, you're in the game too.
That's awesome. That's super
Yeah.
awesome.
The screen just cuts in half, you're in the game. It's just like, okay.
What I really like about that is split screen support needs to be bigger. I miss sitting on a couch with
Mhm.
my friend and playing a game together. So I absolutely love that. That's super awesome they included that.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. Obviously, like Diablo 4, Street Fighter 6, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, Party Animals. These are all different experiences. But as far as the best, like someone who, like me, who could take someone who knows nothing about games, I could literally just say, hold this, push this button, push that button. You're playing the game.
It's it's gonna go to Mario. I think Mario has to
I
take
mean,
it.
probably either Mario or Street Fighter. But
I, my only thing with Street Fighter is there's just a stronger like you were just mentioning it's easy like start press button yeah like Street Fighter yeah you could spam square and whatever like you'll do a
yeah,
move but Mario is a lot easier of a barrier to entry.
100%.
There are no
Yeah.
combos.
Okay.
It's run and jump, and I think like two things. One, you can have four players with Mario. Two with Street Fighter,
Yes.
and
Hmm.
it's also like it's a co-op experience. So if you want to just sit down and have some fun with your buddy and just run through some mindless levels, you
Right.
can.
Right.
You know, like
Hmm.
there's I feel like it's just a lot more when I want to play a multiplayer game with a friend next to me, I want it to be more casual.
Hmm.
And like when I don't I mean, I like Smash, so I guess I'm about to contradict myself, but like, I don't like playing against friends too much. I like working with them. Like, I
Oh, I
just
got you. And
enjoy
then
that
Smash,
more.
even you could like alternate, so you could like be 2-on-2 with the CPU or
Yep, there's
whatever.
teams.
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, my vote's going to Mario, but what do you
Okay,
think?
you know what? I'm gonna give it to Street Fighter Six, not because I want to be difficult, but just because Street Fighter Six kind of did lower the barrier of entry to fighting games in general. We can move on. Which leads us to my next question. This is just a random thought I had. Do we feel that Baldur's Gate is gonna sweep?
Nope.
Okay,
It would. It would just
it
like
would,
what was it? God of War Ragnarok would have
but it swept.
if it wasn't for Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 3 definitely could and almost should, but they won't. They're going to do the same thing. Baldur's Gate's going to win either everything but Game of the Year, or they're going to win Game of the Year and like maybe one other thing, and everything else will go to everyone else. So it's not just Baldur's Gate across the board, is my guess.
Okay, yeah, because like I don't think it's gonna sweep, but I could definitely see it sweeping. Just because it's nominated for a couple of things that Alan Wake is also nominated in. We can get to
We'll
how I
get
feel
to it.
about Alan Wake at a point. But best sports slash racing game, who fucking cares?
Yeah, like these are all, and they're all like just like, oh, another one, like another The Crew, another Forza, another F1, another fucking FIFA or EA Sports FC, a
And
fucking soccer
I
game.
I will say, Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged
Actually looks
did
fun.
it, and listen, it did push a couple of envelopes, but as far as overall experience, from what I'm hearing from the people who actually play these, because it's not that I don't play these, I just don't play these over other games. The Crew Motorfest is probably gonna take it.
Yeah, I would agree. It did the most new. Like I think Forza Motorsport is a better game than The Crew if you want a true racing sim.
Oh,
But
1000%.
they don't like it's just Forza though. Like you only can do so much with fast cars and physical racetracks. Like The Crew at least has like some exploration. I would almost like to give it to Hot Wheels too because I know it just like it looks like it, I haven't played it, but it looks like just a genuinely fun racing experience. Just
Yeah,
a
no, it looks like a
mindless
super fun
rip
experience.
around. Yeah.
Yeah, and we can move on.
Yep.
Do. Best sim slash strategy. Okay, now
So
this is hard, and it's probably gonna go to Pikmin 4, but this is hard.
yeah, so our nominees are Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp, Cities Skylines 2, Company of Heroes 3, Fire Emblem Engage, and Pikmin 4. And so you think Pikmin 4?
I'm thinking Pikmin 4, and it probably would have been City Skylines if it like actually ran.
So I also am going to give it to Pikmin 4. I haven't played it yet, and I want to so bad. I've actually never played a Pikmin game, and I've heard from everyone
Oh,
that's
this is a
played
great
them.
spot to jump in.
Yeah, I've heard that everyone that's played them, they're like, it's way more fun than it's like Animal Crossing, where like if I explain it to you, it's gonna sound really fucking boring, but I promise you'll enjoy it if you play it. And I've heard the same thing about Pikmin. I've seen gameplay; it doesn't look too interesting, but damn it, I need to play it as a Nintendo fan.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I guess we can move on.
Actually, I do want to give one more point here before we
Yes,
move
yes.
on.
What's up?
I do want to give some credit to Fire Emblem Engage.
Okay.
I don't care for Fire Emblem too much. I wish I liked it more. I think it's a really awesome concept. The strategy is super
Now
fun.
that's a sentence.
I truly like. I truly think like the strategy part of it's really well done, and there's a reason why the core gameplay loop hasn't changed since it
Right.
started.
For like 20 plus years, yeah.
Yeah, and I've heard from many people that this is one of the best, like most fun Fire Emblems to date, but the story is some
Okay.
of the worst. And so I just want to give it a shout out. Granted, I haven't
Okay.
played it, but I've heard from everyone, even people that don't like Fire Emblem, they like this one. So I want to give it a
Okay.
shout
All
out.
right. Well, shout out to Fire Emblem and shout out to all the Fire Emblem games.
All right.
Okay.
Best
Next up, we have
family.
Best Family. The nominees are Disney Illusion Island, Party Animals, Pikmin 4, Sonic Superstars, Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Okay, I know you have a lot of thoughts. Go ahead and tell us why it should be Sonic Superstars.
And you know what the worst part is? I want it to be Sonic so bad. Like Sonic is my childhood. Like legitimately, like Sonic the Hedgehog on that Genesis right there, and that Sonic 2 cartridge,
shit, dude.
very first console and video game I ever had.
There we go.
So that was my dad's hand me down. So like I grew up loving Sonic. I had all the games on the GameCube, all the collections, everything Sonic. I have fucking Sonic Spinball, and I stand by that game. Damn it.
I mean, Sonic Spinball isn't the worst.
No, it's not, but everyone shits on it. I love it. Anyways, So I love Sonic, and I can't give it to Sonic Superstars just because
Can't.
it's not as good as it should have been. It's not as good as Mario Bros. Wonder.
Mm.
It just doesn't deserve it. I think it's so close, and if Mario Bros. Didn't release this year,
It
I'd
might have
give
won
it
it.
the edge. And like I
Okay.
think Mario Bros. Deserves it over Pikmin because Pikmin, I believe, isn't a two-player game. Maybe they
I
changed it with
don't
this one.
believe so.
I don't believe so. So I don't know. And even still, I still give it to Mario over Pikmin just because it like current kids' parents are gonna want to play Mario before Pikmin.
Oh, 10 times out of 10 for
So,
sure.
and Party Animals is a great family game, great game to play with friends, but it's Mario. It's Mario. Like it's Mario.
It's Mario. Yeah, no, it's very hard to beat Nintendo, unless you're Sega, in which case you can get real close and forever be Nintendo's little brother. Moving on. Best fighting games. Okay, now this is where it starts to get really interesting
Yep.
because to the untrained eye, everyone's like, "Oh, it's between Mortal Kombat 1 and Street Fighter 6." But the problem is Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 kind of slaps.
I excuse me. I haven't played it yet. Really quickly before I dive into that a bit more, our nominees are God of Rock, Mortal Kombat 1, Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl 2, Pocket Bravery, and Street Fighter 6.
Mhm.
I haven't played Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl 2. I bought the first one on release, and I just never played it again because I didn't have anyone to play it with, really. Like, I was willing to play it more and,
Valid.
like, kind of get it down, but I had no one to play it with. And that's why I didn't buy this game because these kind of games aren't too fun by yourself, and they don't. I don't. Is there a campaign in this one?
I don't think so. I think most fighting games are dropping a campaign unless you're Mortal Kombat 1 or Street Fighter 6. But yeah, no, I don't think
Okay.
so.
Yeah, so I've heard it's better, though. What do you think? What did you think of it?
I mean, it's fun. You know, it's definitely fun. I definitely think it's the number 3 spot behind Mortal Kombat
Yep.
1 or Street Fighter 6. I'm not gonna say and because that would imply an order. I personally am more of a Mortal Kombat guy than a Street Fighter guy, even though I love Street Fighter. But this is tough.
So, admittedly, I know nothing about Pocket Bravery and God of Rock, and
Mhm.
I honestly don't want to give it to Mortal Kombat 1 or Street Fighter 6 because of those two games, which is odd because I don't know anything about them, but they look like they're both bringing something really new to the table. They
Yeah.
like Mortal
Okay.
Kombat 1, especially scratch that. Street Fighter 6 is just another Street Fighter, right? Like I mean it is better. I won't
More or
not.
less. Yeah. More or less.
But it is
More or
another
less.
Street Fighter. Mortal Kombat
100%.
1 is another Mortal Kombat, but at least they are doing something different with the formula. They're, bringing
So
like
different.
yeah, right? Like I think Mortal Kombat deserves over Street Fighter solely for that. Like because the gameplay is fairly similar, fairly. I know it's not exactly the same, but
Ooh, you're gonna get so much love in the comments for saying that Street
I
Fighter 6 and Mortal Kombat 1 are similar. You're gonna
I
get so
know,
much
but I
love.
mean, okay, but you look at those versus Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl. You tell me which ones are the most similar. Though, like
I mean, listen, no, I agree with you. I'm just saying it's
Oh, I
funny
know.
because I can hear it now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing is like, yes, they are different. It's no different than Nick All Stars Brawl and Smash Ultimate. Like they are
Yeah, no.
different, but I'm gonna
Mhm,
lump them together because they're a platform fighter. Like it is the
mhm.
same genre. You can't argue that. Sorry, like
So
so.
so who do we think is taking it? Who do you think
Mortal
is gonna
Kombat one.
get it? Because okay, okay. If you had to just pick one, between God of Rock and Pocket Bravery, based solely on what you know, which is these two images, which one you got?
I'm gonna give it to God of Rock because I am getting the feeling that it has something to do like there's like some sort of music gimmick or something in it. It looks
Yes.
like,
Okay.
and so
Okay.
like they're trying to do something. They're trying to give a gimmick. It looks like I've seen plenty of fighters with like this pixel art, and so again, I don't know anything. I don't know how it plays, but I don't know.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
uninformed.
I guess on that note, we are
Yeah,
moving on.
we're
The
moving
next
on.
category is, oh, this is
RPG.
good.
All
Best RPG.
right.
The nominees are Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16, which you still need to play, Lies of P,
Uh-huh.
which I still need to play, Sea of Stars, and Starfield. This is the only category Starfield is nominated for, I'm pretty sure. Like, next to
Yes,
positive.
which is wild. So wild. Like I don't think Starfield in any sort of way should win Game of the Year, but they damn well should have been nominated, I think. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't amazing, but there's the space game genre is so barely touched in a in a way that you get to explore space because it's so hard to do, and I
Yeah.
think this is the best game that achieves that while giving you story and action. There are other games that do it
So here's
better,
the thing.
but go ahead.
So here's the thing, because we're gonna circle back to the best RPG.
Of
But when we
course.
think about it as in terms of game of the year, would you? Because if we put it in that category, that means we got to take away somebody out of this spot. I just smacked the soul out of my microphone. I'm so sorry. So what can Starfield replace? Would it replace Spider-Man 2, which is nominated, RE4 remake,
I think
Super Mario Wonder, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Alan Wake 2, or Baldur's Gate 3? Which one of those six do we feel is gonna replace or be replaced by Starfield?
easy Resident Evil. I don't think
Okay.
remakes unless they are like. I mean, they are remaking it, but I barely think remakes should be allowed to be in Game of the Year. I mean, don't get me wrong, some remakes are truly fantastic. I think like something like Final Fantasy VII, where it like literally changed the gameplay and story elements. Okay, that can be nominated, but something where it's a beat for beat, just modernized game, I don't think really should have much grounds for Game of the Year because it didn't innovate anything.
See, I agree with you 98%, except in the case of RE4, and we're gonna circle back to best
Yep, we'll get
RPG.
there.
But I agree with you 98%, except the lack of tank controls for a lot of art Resident Evil fans, and even a lot of people who weren't Resident Evil fans. I wasn't a giant Resident Evil fan going into RE4, but the lack of tank controls makes it a definitive experience in a way that none of the other remasters and rebrands, because it went from what did it come out on, like the original PlayStation,
GameCube,
GameCube,
PS2.
PS2. There we go. So it went from the GameCube, it got remade up on the Wii, 360,
Yep.
PlayStation 3, to finally get the remake, and for this to be the definitive edition, and like everyone be like, yeah, no, this is the one. This is my Resident Evil. I feel like that should stand and count for something,
I
right?
think I think they should make a remakes, remasters, re-releases section
Okay,
because I do.
that could be
There is
okay.
merit. There absolutely is merit because
Yes.
they put a bunch of work. They remade it from the ground up. There is merit, but at the same time, they didn't create new art. They didn't create have to write a new story. I think. I don't know if they did, but they didn't have to redo any voice lines or like do voice lines. They didn't
Yeah, they didn't have to.
like they already had a mold for every level and every area. They just had to replicate it. It's not creating it from scratch. Like nothing's from scratch except for the like physical like game and code itself. And so that to me is where it loses a lot for Game of the Year specifically. That doesn't mean
Yeah,
I'm right.
yeah, no, because
I
when I
just
saw that RE4 was nominated, I felt the same way. We're gonna circle back to best RPGs because there's gonna
yes
be plenty of time to talk about Game of the Year.
yes.
But the nominees for Game of the Year, not Game of the Year, Jesus, best RPG are Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16, Lies of P, Sea of Stars, Starfield. I think Baldur's Gate 3 is probably taking this one, dog.
And that like I think this is one where even like I think this is the one where when Baldur's Gate 3 wins Game of the Year, I
Okay.
think this is the one that they should win on the side because that is like Baldur's Gate 3 did kind of change that landscape for RPGs. Like it's way different than any other RPG out there. Like Liza P, barely an RPG. It is, but barely.
Very much barely an
Starfield
RPG.
did nothing new. That's just a Bethesda game in space. Final Fantasy
Yeah, no, it's just
16,
Fallout with jetpacks.
I haven't played, but I know it's just gonna be like it's gonna be a JRPG with a good story, but it's not gonna be anything innovating RPG wise. I'm sure of it. Sea of Stars.
I'll
I
give
don't
you
know
that
much
one,
about.
yeah.
And so I think Baldur's Gate 3 for actually doing something for the gaming sphere should get it.
Yeah, no, Baldur's Gate 3 made CRPGs accessible, and Larian Studios has been doing that forever with their Divinity Original Sin series. So I mean, this isn't new,
Yeah.
but Yeah, no. Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 got this one. Even though, hold up, shout out to all my Starfield fans because
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know if it should have got nominated for Game of the Year just because I mean a lot of games came out this year. A lot of better games than Starfield came out this year, respectfully.
Yeah,
But
really, Starfield's biggest weakness that I found was the piss poor story. Like the main
Mhm.
campaign, like I can't even say it's good. Like it's just mediocre. No pun
I
intended.
mean that's
Like
kind of a
it's
hallmark of Bethesda games, right? Of just like an okay story, a lot of bugs, and then incredible side content that is
yeah,
overshadows the story.
and that's the thing is like the side content's fine also. Like it's really the exploring that's
Ooh.
fun, and since the exploring was so repetitive, that's why it died off so quickly. Like at least
Mhm.
like Fallout 4, like that campaign was at least like interesting enough though. Like, oh, you find your son, he's like, oh, the bad guys, and then you have to decide which side. Like that at least in concept is cool.
Yeah.
Starfield's was like, oh, you have to get to this unknown thing. We don't tell anything about it till the very last bits of the game. You finally learn everything, and
Mhm.
like that's it. Then the game's over. Like the whole time you're literally doing the same puzzle. Bro, I think it's like 15 or 20 times over and over
I didn't
and
realize it was
over.
that repetitive.
No story progression during all that. You go to the place, do it, kill a guy, come back, talk to a dude, go to a different place, do the puzzle, same puzzle, kill a guy, come back. Like it's wildly tedious.
So, and then another thing, I know it's like a very petty thing, but the amount of loading screens is kind of unacceptable.
There's a way to get around that. People were making a bigger deal of it than it is. Like as long as you're not encumbered, so like overweight, right?
Yeah.
You can just open up your nav and just fast travel to another planet without having to run back to your ship or fast travel to your ship.
Yeah, but
Then
like
go up.
even beyond that, like just walking into a building, like
Yeah.
each door is a loading screen.
Yes, I do agree with that. It was it was fine. It should have been better. I'm gonna leave it at that. Anyways, best RPG going to
Gotta work.
Baldur's Gate 3, and we're moving on.
Whoop, whoop. Moving
All
on to
right,
best
so
action adventure game. Oh, this is where we're good.
yeah,
Okay,
this is where
boom.
it
Our
gets
nominees
serious.
are our nominees are Alan Wake 2, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom for best action adventure game.
Okay.
Say your piece because I know you got thoughts.
On all of these. So I don't know obviously too much about Alan Wake. I know though it deserves to be up here
Hmm.
without having to play it. I know it deserves a spot up here. Spider
Hmm.
Man 2. Yeah, no, I think this deserves the win. I really do.
Okay, I'll take. Okay,
The story is honestly lackluster. It's still phenomenal, but not as
but
strong as the
compared
first
to
game. Not as strong as the
okay,
first game. And so it loses points there. But man, the gameplay, like, because think about it, video games. What's the purpose of a video game?
have fun.
To have fun and be a game first and foremost. That's what it is at
Hmm.
the end of the day. So I care most of all about any game about the gameplay more than the story, characters, any of that shit, side content. It is DLC. It is the game. Is the game fun and god damn it, Marvel Spider-Man 2 is one of the most fun games to come out this year.
That's what I'm talking about. All right. So here's the thing. But here's the thing, right? Because RE4, I already know you're not going for it. Which, yeah, I don't think it should win either. But the Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Are we feeling? How we feel about that one? How we feel?
I and that's where I was about to get to that because I'm torn because Zelda's also one of my favorite franchises of all time, and Breath of the
Hmm.
Wild's. I guess Tears of the Kingdom is one of my like all-time favorite games. Breath of the Wild was. Tears of the Kingdom is just an upgrade, but it felt a little underwhelming, and that's what makes this game hard. Like I think if Tears of the Kingdom came out by itself, like oh my gosh, like without a doubt
Yeah.
this game, but it had Breath of the Wild come before, which kind of stole a lot of its thunder.
Hmm.
But if you look at them, and here's the thing: if you look at them unbiasedly as a game, yeah, it should go to Zelda. It's a way better action adventure game. It's way like
It is literally action and adventure. The game.
yeah. So I want to give it to them, and Jedi Survivor is great too. I just think Spider Man 2 is just a better action
Better.
adventure game. Like
Yeah, 100%.
that's just it. Actually, I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna switch to Tears of the Kingdom. I think as an action adventure, when you look at the actual like terminology, it belongs to Tears of the Kingdom. What do you think?
I was just gonna say, AJ, I think we finally agree on one category, and that deserves an applause because I knew we weren't gonna disagree the whole time, but we disagreed on a little bit more than I thought we would. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, Tears of the Kingdom got it. Like it's again action adventure the game, and we are moving on
Yep.
to best action game. Wow, a lot of good shit came out this year. The nominees are Armored Core 6: Fires of Rubicon, Dead Island 2, Ghost Runner 2, Hi-Fi Rush, and Remnant 2.
So I think Remnant's gonna win it because it took the
Okay.
internet by storm, but I don't want it to win.
What do you want to win?
I want to say. I want to say Hi-Fi Rush, but they have a lot of nominations coming up that I think they deserve more. And
Okay.
so I don't
Okay.
want to give it to them here because I think there's other things they deserve and they're not going to win a bunch. Excuse me.
That's okay.
I also want to give it to Ghost Runner too. Ghost Runner is such a fun game. I don't know. Have you ever played it?
I played the first one.
Yep. Okay. I played the first one. I haven't played the second one, but
Okay.
if they just based on what I've seen of the second one, I just like it's just such a fun game. I think it's a good contender, but I don't think it would win either. I don't know how long it
See,
is.
like
But
in my heart, in my little nerdy gamer heart, I feel like Armored Core 6 is probably gonna win it. Only because like are you how familiar are you with Armored Core, like the series?
not at all. Like very very.
Oh my goodness gracious, brother. Come here. Let me tell you a little story
Okay.
about this company called From Software.
Oh,
Before they
I know
started
all
making
about
Demon
From
Souls,
Software.
yeah, before they started making Demon Souls and Dark Souls, they made Armored Core
Yep.
games. And the thing about Armored Core games, especially with this one in particular, is that your Armored Core is actually like super customizable, like super customizable.
Okay.
Like to the
Was that
point
not a
where
thing in the
you can
past?
so it's not that it wasn't a thing in the past. It's just that they kind of took it and just ran with it. Because again, it's
Okay.
just like you said, Fires of Rubicon. You're on this planet, Rubicon 6. You're trying to you're basically a mech trying to help this company be a company. It's
Okay.
just a cog in a wheel. So, but like your job is to kill a lot of stuff. So, yeah, you can like customize your robots. You can like you don't even need jets if you didn't want jets. You could just like roll everywhere. You could just have big old just artillery. You could switch it to like smaller guns if you want to be like quicker and zippier and like fly around. Like
Isn't there like
just
also
you
like a weight system to it too? I feel like I've heard of that.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
not really a weight system per se, but it does have different feel,
Yep.
like
Yep.
depending
That's what
on
I meant.
like yeah. It's definitely like a different feel depending on like whether or not you have legs versus treads
Yep.
versus spider legs versus whatever. So dog, I think Armored Core 6 gets it.
I I can't speak on that
Okay.
because I haven't played any, and I'm also not
That's
a big
fair.
mech person at all. I could care less about
Okay.
mechs, honestly. But with that being said, it sounds like they deserve it the most because Dead Island
Okay.
2 is just Dead Island 2, which I haven't played it, but I'm sure it's a fantastic. I love Dead Island, the first two, right?
It's not what okay, so Dead Island 2 is a great game. However, compared to Remnant 2, Hi-Fi Rush, and Armored Core 6, I don't know if it beats it out of any category.
No. I don't think so at all. I think it's just a fun game, but it doesn't deserve best
It's
of
a
any
great game, yeah.
category.
Definitely worth playing when it's on sale.
I want to give it, and that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting till it goes down to like $30 at a year from now, and I'll cop it then. I'm sure I'll love it.
For sure.
I'm gonna give it to Armored Core
Okay.
because I don't know anything. I trust your judgment, and I have
Oh
heard some hype
wow.
around this game, and I do think it could be a hidden gem. And you've honestly piqued my interest a bit on it, and I'm not a big mech person, so all
For
because of
sure.
that, I'll give it to that. But I think Remnant 2 is gonna win just because it took the internet
Okay.
by storm.
And you know what?
Everyone played
Remnant 2
it.
probably will win. I feel like that was the bigger release. But yeah, no, I think you should do a little bit of digging on Armored Core. We can move
Okay.
on, but yeah, no, do a little digging on Armored Core. Now, this
Will do.
is interesting because I don't know if the competition is close. We are moving on to best VR/AR game. We have Gran Turismo 7, Horizon Call of the Mountain, Humanity, Resident Evil Village VR mode, and Synapse.
I okay, so biasedly, I want to give it to Gran
Biasedly.
Turismo 7 because I absolutely love that game. I'm a racing sims fan. I have like the whole steering wheel set up and everything. So like I
You
have
do?
Oh yeah. I
did
set it
not
up
know
like
that.
right behind me here and I like lower this TV down to like right here and just like right
oh, that's
there.
the setup right there.
Yeah, I
man.
love it. But I don't have PlayStation VR, so I haven't experienced in that, but man, do I want to. So I want to give it to that because I think that is a truly good, authentic VR experience because it simulates real life really well.
Hmm.
With that being said, though, does
Uh-oh.
it deserve it? I don't think so, just because it's a VR mode in a game that was already made. And I know it's best VR slash AR. I want to give it to Synapse because it's like truly a unique VR fully game, you know? Oop, we lost you again. Your battery die?
So Synapse looked fun. I'm gonna give it to Humanity because you brought up a great point. I was ready to give it to Resident Evil Village, like unapologetically, but then you brought up a great point that it's already a great game that they put a VR mode on, and that doesn't seem fair. But Humanity is a puzzle game that doesn't make sense and it's super duper weird.
Cool. I was torn between Humanity and Synapse, and I just chose Synapse because that's more of my cup of tea.
No,
But
I got you. Yeah,
I'm totally with you on that Humanity pick too. I think that's the main reason why I'm not doing Gran
looked
Turismo
fun and
7
weird
because it's just they just added a free cam to the game. I
for
can't.
sure. And then we can move on
Yep.
because I don't know, maybe
Best.
Humanity's gonna win.
I
Best
doubt it.
mobile game.
Best mobile game though. So Final Fantasy 7, Ever Crisis, Hello
Woo.
Kitty Island Adventure, Honkai Star Rail, Monster Hunter Now, and Terra
Mm.
Nil. Man, I'm gonna give it to Honkai Star Rail unapologetically.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go Ever Crisis. Ooh, excuse me, that burp was critical. Yeah, Final Fantasy 7 Ever Crisis. I don't know. That's just my cup of tea,
Yep.
personally.
And I was torn between the two. And I haven't I don't play Honkai Star Rail really. I really liked Genshin Impact. And it's made by the same people. I just know that that's a really well made game.
Hmm.
I want to try it. I need to try it. I'm just not a big phone game person. I got better shit to
Yeah,
do.
getting older will do that to you. I wish I
Uh
could just
huh.
post up and play mobile. Do we just need to have a mobile game stream one day? We could
Let's do it. Let's do it.
just have a mobile game stream. That's dope. That's a good idea. Hold up. When we get off, we gonna talk about that.
All
All
right, moving
right, boom.
on.
Let's move on just a little bit.
Best debut indie
Best
game.
debut indie game. Oh,
I'm
okay.
excited for
So hold
this.
up.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, okay, because we got something to talk about. Oh, they switched it up. Perfect. Our nominees are Cocoon, Dredge, Pizza Tower, Vinba, and Viewfinder. Here's the thing about this. Dave the Diver. No, not. Ooh, I think Dave the Diver is nominated on another indie game category.
They're
But
next. Yeah.
Yeah, Dave the Diver is not an indie game, and so that's kind of a oopsie. It's made by a
Yeah.
pretty big studio. Now, granted, they probably distributed it independently, and it has
That's
the feel
probably
of an
is.
indie game. And so I don't know if that's how it's like but
I'm
it's technically not an indie game.
we'll read the
Now,
description on the next section and we'll
yeah,
see
yeah, for
because it
sure.
might
But best
classify.
debut indie game. For sure. It might. I don't know. But yeah, best debut indie game. How does it not go to Dredge? What happens? Pizza Tower's great, Vimba's cute, Cocoon's fun, Viewfinder is great, but how does it not go to Dredge?
I'm so torn on this actually. Like I do think Dredge deserves it. I do.
Hmm.
But there's a lot like most of the other games here deserve. I don't think Venba does. I'm sorry guys. Fun
Oh,
game.
wow.
I don't think it. I think it deserves a spot. It doesn't deserve the win.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fair. I was gonna say best debut indie game.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
Vinba is debut indie game
Yeah.
on its show.
It deserves a spot, 100%. I almost want to give it to Viewfinder just because that's such a unique idea and like cool
Hmm.
idea that
Yeah, no,
I
dope.
am in love with that. Pizza Tower, super fun, crazy ass game, love the
Hmm.
visuals. It doesn't revolutionize anything though. It's nothing that I haven't like
Hmm.
seen before. Like it feels like a really high intensity Super Meat Boy. Like
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's like if WarioWare got the Super
yeah.
Mario Brothers treatment. Like that's what
And
it
we
feels like.
cranked up the speed because you
Yeah,
move. Yeah.
yeah. So
Cocoon
okay.
also deserves a win here. I think like, but I don't think it's just it doesn't have as much content. I don't think
Nah.
I'm stuck between Dredge and Viewfinder because Viewfinder just brings a whole new concept that's never been done before to the light of day.
You know what? You know something? I think you flipped me, dog. I'm gonna go Viewfinder because
All right.
Dredge is great, but we've seen it before.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, okay,
Viewfinder.
okay.
Sweet. Moving on.
Moving
So,
on. Yes, this is the
best
category. Best
independent game, which
independent
I
game.
don't understand why these are different categories. It's
Well, okay, time out because I feel like debut indie game is a little different than independent game because independent game you could be an independent company, independent studio, and this could be your second or third game.
okay. Yep, you're right. You're right. So the best independent game, our nominees are Cocoon, Dave the Diver, Dredge, Sea of Stars, and Viewfinder.
Before knowing that Dave the Diver wasn't technically an indie game, which I mean it's nominated, so I guess like it's fair ball, but it would have I would put this with the regular game of the year if we just being honest.
It would get drowned out though. I think this is its only chance of winning anything, so I'm fine with it.
Okay, yeah.
But I do agree with you. It deserves a better spot.
Yeah. So but if it couldn't be Dave the Diver, because technically Dave the Diver is an indie game, yeah, we
It's,
might have to give it to Viewfinder. Because the fact that every like yeah, 4 out of the 5 nominees of the last category are here
yeah.
says something.
I I'm gonna give it to Dave the Diver, and I know with what we just said, it doesn't really make too much sense, but I want them to win something, and
Yeah.
it's going to win this category. It is.
Oh yeah, it's definitely gonna win. I mean, yeah, no, YouTubers are coming out the woodwork like y'all have to play this game, and it is a dope game. It's
It
a
is.
weird, fun time. But yeah, okay, cool. I guess we can move on then.
All right.
Zooming by now.
Best community.
Oh
We
no,
are.
this is interesting.
Yes, best
Best
community
community
support. I'm
support.
excited about this one. So, Baldur's Gate 3, our nominees are
Okay.
Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14, and No
Which is the
Man's Sky.
MMORPG.
Yep. And No Man's Sky. Uh, I I'm going to give it to No Man's.
So here's the thing, because I would have given it to No Man's Sky up until a few days ago when someone brought up the great point that Baldur's Gate 3 was in early access for 3 years. 3 years listening to a bunch of community feedback, not only implementing all of the D&D rules, but also listening to different complaints that everybody was having with the early access about this item being funny or this spell not working properly and blah, blah, blah. 3 years. That's before we even get to the actual 2 or 3 extra years of just polishing.
Yeah, I didn't know that. And with that being said, I think they deserve it.
Yeah, and
Now,
don't get me wrong, No Man's Sky, like, definitely, if Baldur's Gate 3 was not right there, definitely would have got it because they literally brought this game back from the edge of death. But
and do like a really well made game now. Like,
incredible game, a dope game that's like going on to be close to a decade old.
the only thing I
Um,
wish they added is just more like creatures and combat stuff. Like that.
yeah,
Outside of that, I zero complaints with the game.
dope
It's
game, dope
it's
game. Granted, it took a decade to get here, and they're still adding stuff, which is dope.
yeah.
But I think Baldur's Gate 3 might get it only because it's one newer, and two because they've had the the community support for so long.
You know what actually, I think Baldur's Gate still deserves it absolutely, but I don't want them to get it because again I think they're gonna get Game of the Year and probably one or two other things. So I don't enjoy seeing games sweep just because I want a
Yeah, no, it's
celebration
not
of all
fun.
games. So yeah, it's not fun when you're just like, oh yep.
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate, like it was last year
Baldur's
when we
Gate
were getting
3.
God of War for everything. We're like, oh yep, God of War. Like I got sick of hearing their freaking name. Like I was like, someone
Yeah.
else, please. Like they like it's a good game, but it didn't. It's not this magnum opus of video gaming. You know,
Yeah, no. I'm not gonna hold you. The God of War remake kind of was.
absolutely phenomenal. Yes, but like I mean,
Yeah, no. God of War Ragnarok, not so much.
Cyber
But yeah, no. So
Cyberpunk also, I think they they have brought it back from the dead also, just like No Man's
they
Sky,
did.
in a lot quicker of a time. They also took more of a hit financially, and it
Yeah.
wasn't the developers' fault. They wanted to listen to everyone. So my vote goes towards Cyberpunk actually instead of No Man's Sky because this is more recent. No Man's Sky has been around for plenty of time and been working out for plenty of time. They still deserve that shout out. I'm gonna
Right.
give it to Cyberpunk though because they stuck with it when they had no reason to really.
They really didn't. And you want to know something crazy? I still have my PS4 copy of Cyberpunk 2077, and
Awesome.
apparently the update, the Phantom Liberty update makes it great, but it's only on next gen consoles. I'm not buying that game twice. I'm still mad about buying it when the pre-orders were announced and like waiting 2 years. So I'm gonna give it to Baldur's Gate 3 because CD Projekt Red, if you want to give me a free copy, I don't know, maybe you can get my vote. Who knows? But we can move on to the next to the
Let's
next
move. So,
category.
best
Best
ongoing.
ongoing.
Apex, our nominees are Apex Legends, Cyberpunk 2077, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, and Genshin Impact. What are your
Which
thoughts?
planet which planet do we live on where Fortnite doesn't win? Because you gotta understand, like now it's like, oh duh, Fortnite's $1 billion game. But here's the thing. Fortnite was announced and nobody cared. Like in 2013, 2014, this game came out, nobody cared.
No.
6 years later, it's $1 billion game. That doesn't happen on accident.
So here's the thing, and I agree, and like that shows that they're doing something right. So the
Mhm.
description of this is awarded to a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time.
Oh, here we go. So, okay, I can still give it to Fortnite though, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Absolutely.
Because I don't. Since I was just gonna say, I don't know another game where you can play as your favorite movie icon and catch a concert of your favorite artist at the time, Travis Scott, and have like this weird lore, this weird anti-corporation lore where you beefing with Apple, like
And then also they have like the map evolves over time and changes, so it keeps things
it
fresh.
changes and resets and
Guns,
grows.
guns swap out. Like they have all these wacky things, and they're doing all
Hmm.
these collaborations, and like they're adding like like Todoroki's ice wall from My Hero, and like stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
the ODM gear from Attack on Titan. Like that's so cool. They're like adding that as items instead of just doing skins. So I definitely think it should go to them, but
hmm,
there are a lot of really good, like all of these deserve a spot. I almost would argue
for sure.
Apex Legends the least. It's weird seeing Cyberpunk here
Yeah.
because Cyberpunk isn't an ongoing game like the rest of these. The rest of these are online like service
Yeah.
games,
I,
but
and then I
they
don't know. I
just
guess like depending on how you count it, and then how you again how you add that DLC. I guess but it's technically not DLC because they
I
remade the game.
I don't think
Whatever.
Cyberpunk belongs here. I think it's really out of place because it's not ongoing. The game's done now. It
Yeah,
is done. They just did it. So
yeah,
there's
they're
that.
working on a sequel.
I gotta give credit to Genshin Impact because every time they
Yes,
they release a big addition, they release a massive part of the map, all these new characters. Your main character gets a new ability each time. I mean that and add on to the main story. That's a lot of content each time. A lot more than what
every time.
Fortnite's doing for the most part. I mean, now
Hmm.
Fortnite's doing a lot of skins. They have all the collaboration. That's a lot of work also in the background. On top of,
One thousand percent. Yeah.
they're releasing different community games. They're working on other stuff. There's this the Lego leak that got
Oh
announced.
yeah,
So
forgot about
like
that.
they're doing a lot still, and so I think it should go to Fortnite, but Genshin should get a fair shot at that too.
Yeah, no, yeah. Fortnite's probably gonna win it, but Genshin Impact is probably the next on the list because who still plays Final Fantasy 14? Anyway, we can move on.
Moving
Uh
on.
oh, Games for
Yep.
Impact. Our nominees are A Space for the Unbound, Chance of Sonar, Goodbye Volcano High, Tachia, Terra Nil, Benba. This is the category of games that we felt should have been bigger and they weren't, so we nominated them on the Video Game Awards.
I Here's the thing. I I haven't touched a single one of these games. I touched Venba a little bit. Besides that, really, because here's the thing. Like, so this is Games for Impact for a thought-provoking
Mhm,
game with a pro-social meaning or message. Here's my thing. I am all about helping people out, spreading awareness, doing all that. Of
mhm,
course, what's the
mhm.
point of seclusion? I think it's dumb,
Right.
but there is a place for it. And I'm all about a message too. Sending
Hmm.
messages within stuff. But I don't think a game should be, for the most part, unless you really have a solid foundation, should be centered around sending a political or social message. Because I'm here to play games to get away from the world, not think about it more and have it shoved into my face. It's the same thing with politics and social stuff and shows.
Yeah.
I think they should be separate because I watch shows and movies, unless obviously it's a documentary or something, like to
All
get
right.
away from that. And so when a game focuses on sending a message like this, it loses a lot of my interest because that's not why I play games. Not to say they don't have a
Right.
place or it's not important, it just loses my interest.
Right, right. And then like for me, like none of these games, well, except for the Chia. Chia looked kind of fun. None of these games really hit my radar in a way, and I don't really mind a game having a message. I feel like all media has some kind of message. So like I don't
Yeah.
care as long as it's fun and enjoyable. But
These games all felt like they were created to send a message instead of make a fun game, and that's my problem with them.
you know something, there's something to be said about that for sure, because obviously you should make a game to make a game. And if it has a really strong message, whatever. But yeah.
Like I said, like I said in the beginning, like every what is the purpose of a video game? First and
Yeah.
foremost, to be a game. That should be first and foremost before even the story, let
Right.
alone a message.
No, 100%. So, I don't know. I guess Venba, because that's the one I have
Yep.
like I've heard the most about.
Yep.
Even though Chia did look kind of fun, I hadn't heard much of it past release. So I guess Venba.
This
And
Terra Nil was also it's a mobile game because it was nominated for
oh
like top
yeah,
mobile game, and I like the look of this art style, but that's all I know about it. So
yeah.
developed partly by Netflix. Wow, I
Listen, bro, Netflix is doing a lot. Okay,
they
so
are they really are.
so
Anyways,
yeah.
this is a
I
gaming
guess Venba.
podcast.
It says a gaming podcast. But yeah, no, I guess Venba wins. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know, either Venba or Chia, but I'm gonna go for Venba because I feel like it's a little bit bigger.
sure. Moving on.
Moving on. Innovation and accessibility. Now, this is one
This
that
is a
I
good
have a lot
category.
of feelings about because I don't know what any of these games are doing for accessibility. The nominees are Diablo 4, Forza Motorsport, Hi-Fi Rush, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Mortal Kombat 1, Street Fighter 6. I don't know what any of these games did as far as accessibility. I don't know. Not to say that they didn't do anything, I just don't know.
Oh, and here's the key:
Okay.
innovation. Because like
Okay.
Marvel Spider-Man 2, very accessible. I think hold R2 to swing. You don't even have to let that button go. You can just hold. You won't swing very fast, but it'll auto swing, right? Like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
is
yeah.
the most accessible thing ever. Super simple. You don't have to do any gadgets or anything. You could just spam square and dodge like for fights. Like
Yeah.
it's extremely accessible, but so was the first game did those exact same things. So that isn't innovation. The only innovative thing that Spider-Man did for accessibility is being able to move across the map faster with wingsuit, but that isn't
Fast as fuck, boy.
that you are, but like that's not what this category is. Forza Motorsport, they didn't do really that much from what I understand. I mean, like, I like what I think Forza Motorsport or Forza in general and Gran Turismo can do to make their games more accessible. They shouldn't make them more like Need for Speed. They are a sim. That is the point. But they need better ways, I think, of more fun ways of training people
Oh
on
yeah.
how to drive properly. They have they train people
I
fine,
mean, but
but
here's
it's
the problem:
boring.
driving's not fun.
It can be though.
Like that's the problem.
Once you get the gameplay motion down, it is fun.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
100%.
they need to be more upfront that this isn't Need for Speed that you just got.
Yeah, no, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who figure that out later and learn to love it because I mean, there's a lot to love in every Forza game ever. But at the same time, like driving is stressful. Like figuring out your line and figuring out how fast you need to go
You
on this
can't
corner
hammer
because
it through
winning
the
a
corner to drift. Like you
Yeah,
have to
no,
slow
like,
down.
winning a race is never about driving faster. It's about driving better than 20
Yep.
other people who train their entire lives to drive better than 20 other people who drive better than other people.
Yeah. And that's I don't play online on those games because I'm not that good. I just do like the main
Different.
campaign and just enjoy myself. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not that good. I'm better than the average person, I know that, but I'm not like
Yeah.
better than the average person that plays that religiously. Hell no.
Just saying. So I mean, and then what? Mortal Kombat 1 and Street Fighter 6, those are fighting games. Like what? You can plug a joystick in. Like I guess that's accessible.
Well, and that's the thing is those aren't like I would argue Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl is more accessible because you don't have to memorize combos. Like what makes
Yeah.
these games really hard for accessibility is you have to memorize combos to do any of the
Hmm.
cool stuff and do well. And
Do
so
all of the
those
cool stuff.
games are horrible for accessibility, I think. Like it's really hard to get into because you have to be willing to commit to the memorization. And it's again unlike Smash or Nick All Stars Brawl, where like okay,
Your
every
button
character
mashing is a
has
strategy.
a side A, an up A, a down A, and the attacks correspond down, right, up. This it's A B X Y up down left, and then it does a random series of punches. Like like
Yeah,
that's not
don't even get
like
me started on the quarter circles in Street Fighter.
that's what I'm saying. Like so it's just so it's too technical to be. None of these games really fit. I think Hi-Fi Rush of any of them.
I was gonna say Hi-Fi Rush probably fits the best because there are like plenty of modes for Hi-Fi Rush. Hi-Fi Rush can be brutal if you crank up the settings to what you want it to be, but it can also be like a really fun rhythm-based experience.
I'm giving Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, Hi-Fi Rush. There we go. Moving
Moving
on to what is this
Best
category?
performance.
Best performance.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
sir.
So our nominees are Ben Starr from Final Fantasy 16, Cameron Monaghan for Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Idris Elba for Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, Melanie Liberd for Alan Wake 2, Neil Newborn for Baldur's Gate 3, and Yuri Lowenthal for Marvel's Spider-Man 2.
What was there a question mark on LeBird? LeBird?
There, I just
Good.
was unsure on how to say that.
I mean, I feel like it's LeBird. If it's not LeBird, Melanie, just tweet me or AJ, or just get in the comments and just be like, it's lie bird. But yeah, no, Idris Elba. Oh,
I I haven't played the expansion, but from what I've heard, he absolutely fucking killed it,
I mean,
which
because
is
here's the thing.
unsurprising.
Because like Neil Newman, I mean, all of these people are professional,
Oh
like
yeah, they all deserve
actors,
it. Every
right?
single one of these people deserve this.
Yeah, everybody deserves this. But it's just Idris Elba is like on record as being on another level. So I mean, I don't know how he loses.
Okay, so I I have a few things to say, and I still think it's Idris as I say these, but Ben
Mm-hmm.
Starr. So Final Fantasy 16. Keep in mind I
Mm-hmm.
haven't played it, but I've seen some stuff and heard some stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
the range he had to give for this game
It's a
cannot go
lot.
understated because you kind of control gods or gods control you, something like that in this game.
Something to that effect.
And so, depending on what god you have selected,
Mm-hmm.
your personality, the main character's personality changes based
Yeah,
on that god. So like
and you got
if
to read
he's
all
like
those lines, even
and
if they never used.
I don't know all the gods names, so sorry, but if you're like
Okay.
the god of war or hate or whatever the hell it is, you're like all of a sudden way more aggressive and you're like saying more gruesome things. And he like so like he had to have a wide range in
Yeah,
all of that. So there's something to be said about that.
there is.
Cameron for Star Wars Jedi Survivor, man, he deserves one, but he didn't give an insane range. It was
I was just gonna
just
say, I don't think he
Cal.
deserves it this year
Not this year, but he
because
deserves
he's a great
one.
actor.
Yes, yes. Idris, we've already talked about. I think he deserves it. Absolutely. I haven't played Alan Wake 2. How did Melanie do? I have no idea.
Oh, here's the thing. Here's the problem, and I didn't notice this until Alana Pierce brought this up on like some random trailer review or whatever. She is not American, and sometimes, emphasis on sometimes, you can hear her accent slip, and it's very minor and it's very petty. And I'm so sorry if I ruined this for anybody who didn't notice this before I said something. But yeah, no, her accent slips, and sometimes like she'll say things with a British twang that in the middle of like a sentence of American accents. Don't get me wrong, she's committed to the performance, and
It just
I'm
shit
sure she did
happens.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens a lot, and it's like with very specific words that she just so happens to say a lot. So I don't know if they just didn't notice it or if they didn't catch it, because I know that Remedy, they have a lot of like European ears in the studio, so maybe they just didn't catch it. But yeah, it wasn't jarring, but once I noticed it, I was like, okay, that's an accent slip.
That's Yeah, you would think they would catch that. So yeah, no, she doesn't deserve it then because of that. I like, and I like, I
I think
that's
she did a
not to
very
say,
committed
yeah.
performance.
That's not to say she did a bad job, but like for
It's just a
best
minor thing.
performance, that
Yeah,
is an
no.
error. That is an error though. Like that still is marks. Neil Newborn for Baldur's Gate 3. I have no idea what character he played.
I want to say he was a Starion. Hold up, let me quadruple check because I know a lot
I'm sure he did
of
great. I have no idea.
Jaman. I mean, yeah, no, like all of the when you get your hands on Baldur's Gate 3, because I know you're gonna play it. I don't know when, but I know it's gonna happen. um, you are gonna be like, you're gonna be impressed with how much just acting. Like everybody you talk to, like nobody phones it in. Everybody's fully voiced, full motion capture. Like it's very grounding in a way.
Okay.
Um, all that being said, he did great. I mean, but everybody did great. So it's hard to say that he did the best out of the person who played Shadowheart or the person who plays anybody else.
Okay. And then Yuri. So Yuri Lowenthal, I think is
Yes.
him and Ben are the two that I think really should compete with Idris because
Yeah.
Yuri
Okay.
also gave a wide range of voice and emotion because on top of being Peter,
Hmm.
he had to be Venomized Peter and like the
Hmm.
dynamic between the two and the times when he would like snap to that really well done.
Fun fact: Yuri Lowenthal also played Sasuke in the American dub of Naruto. So, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's, the
that's right.
Sasuke comes out. It's just
It
and as
tracks.
a Naruto fan, man, I was getting a little nerd boner playing it. I'm not gonna lie. So,
That's pretty hilarious. Just like, be angry, Peter.
dude, there was times I was
That's good.
uncomfortable. I was like, yo, this isn't even Peter anymore. Like this is
Yo, he's
uncomfortable.
tripping, dog.
Like, dude, like he did so good to the point where I was like, Peter, stop. Like I want my Peter back. Like this is too much. Like there was times where I was like, damn, dude, you're a villain. Like I was like, I
Oh,
want to play as you,
oh,
dude.
that's funny.
So
Okay,
I'm
okay.
torn.
I'm thinking Idris takes it, but I think there's a case for Yuri and Ben.
I'm gonna give it to Idris, but I'm happy with the shout outs
Yeah,
I gave.
I think you really be up to preference too, but yes, okay. Moving on, we have best audio design. We have Alan Wake 2, Dead Space, the remake, Hi-Fi Rush, Marvel Spider-Man 2, and Resident Evil 4 remake. Do you have thoughts about why it shouldn't be Hi-Fi Rush?
No, I think it should be Hi-Fi Rush in every way, but I do want to give a comment. Like it's these categories right here where I think
Mhm.
remakes, remasters, all those can shine because
Okay.
you redo
Okay.
that score and that doesn't make it any worse. And a lot of times you can
No.
add to it and stuff like that. So I think categories like these phenomenal for remakes and stuff. So Resident Evil 4 and Dead Space absolutely deserve a spot here. I believe.
Got you.
Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, no, like, yeah, no, Resident Evil 4 and Dead Space do a great job with the sound design. Alan Wake 2, but not as much as the other two.
And Spider Man
Yeah,
does
no.
great too, but it's the same. Oh, not quite, but pretty much the same shit we've heard before. A lot of
Yeah,
horns,
no,
that
it's just,
marble. Yeah.
Resident Evil 4 is like great at setting just the tone. Like when you walk into a forest, like it just feels like something's watching you. Or like Dead Space, like it's like that feeling of just like I'm alone, but it's like no,
Yeah.
I'm not. Like it's that feeling. But Hi-Fi, like none of them incorporate the sound the way that Hi-Fi Rush did, where like literally the rhythm of you walking is a mechanic. The
And
rhythm that you fight is a mechanic.
I think they're gonna win it because like it's the mechanic, like, and it's on top of that.
Yes.
It's not like a gimmicky game. Like it's a good game on top of it. So
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
no, I think Hi-Fi Rush got that one kind
Although
of hands down.
I will give the intro song to Spider-Man 2. Listen to that
Hmm.
sometime, or hopefully you play it soon. Absolute banger. Like I want to
No, I
find the
believe
song
it.
because I genuinely enjoyed it. Like I was like, yo, this song's an actual banger. Like
Yeah, 100%.
super good.
Moving
Moving
on,
on.
another sound category.
Best
Best score
score
and
and
music.
music.
Alan Wake 2, composer Petri Alanko. See, that's how they didn't catch that voice slip. Baldur's Gate 3, composer Borislav Slavov. Yo, that's a lot of S's in your name, my guy. Final Fantasy 16, composer Masayoshi Soken. Hi-Fi Rush, audio director Shuichi Kobori. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, composed by Nintendo Sound Team. Why is that the easiest one to say? Man, that's so stupid. Again, Hi-Fi Rush. Don't get me wrong, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
And Zelda Tears of the Kingdom did a lot to improve upon the music score because Breath of the Wild I think was too simple. I liked it I wanted just a little bit more out of it, and Tears of the Kingdom brought that.
Hmm.
I
But
don't.
Hi-Fi Rush had it as the mechanic.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't want to give Hi-Fi Rush both the audio awards, but it deserves it. So I don't have a
Right.
problem
And
with it.
if it didn't go to Hi-Fi Rush, like, and it doesn't go to Zelda, I don't even know what we're doing anymore.
I haven't played 16, and Final Fantasy games music usually bangs. I
You're
think that
right.
has a fair contender.
Okay. Okay. I don't
I'm
think Alan Wake 2 and Baldur's Gate 3 should get it. Not to say that the music isn't great. It's incredible. It's just not as good as these
they
three,
feel
just
like
for the
filler.
specific moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like filler.
Like
There we
I
go. These are,
guarantee you,
thank you.
the Final Fantasy 16 music when you're fighting as a god against another god is fucking
Ramps up,
phenomenal.
baby.
I guarantee you,
Ramps
it's
up.
just this like full sound. Like it's. I guarantee you, it's this movie feeling. There's no way it
Yeah,
isn't.
no, for sure. It definitely is. I've seen a couple of boss fights, a couple of out of context fights, and let me tell you something. Yeah, Platinum Games did their thing with a Final Fantasy game. That's all you need to know, really.
I'm gonna throw an
Moving
asterisk.
on.
Square Enix. But moving
I
on.
mean, listen. We can't have everything. Best art direction: Alan Wake 2, Hi-Fi Rush, Lies of P, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Okay,
This
so
is hard.
it's very hard because all of these games are gorgeous, and not only are they gorgeous, like their art style plays into the gameplay almost seamlessly.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't think it should be Alan Wake 2.
No,
Hi-Fi Rush has a chance, but
very good chance.
it's not a good enough game to win every fucking category like it is. Right? Our
Nah,
list
and
is
then
Hi-Fi Rush sweeping right now.
listen, Hi-Fi Rush will never sweep. Like,
No.
listen, shout out to Hi-Fi Rush. You can go 2 out of 3. Okay, you're not sweeping. Because don't get me wrong, Hi-Fi Rush is again great game, but also doesn't have to be that technically impressive. Doesn't have to be that pretty. Versus Lies of P,
Liza P, I think, deserves
kind
it.
like kind of a banger to look at, dog.
It's such a unique concept. It's new. We haven't seen a. No, I don't. I've never heard of any story or anything that's made Pinocchio and all this like kind of a twisted and dark, and then like they do it so well. It's a good game on top of it. I think it deserves it. Absolutely. Mario Bros. Wonder. It
It's like Mario Brothers in a movie, which isn't bad, but
it's I think it did a lot and deserves a spot, but at the same time, would it deserve a spot if we haven't had 5 new Super Mario Bros. Games? And since the first new Super Mario Bros. On DS and Wii, if we got just different Marios each time like we used to, if this would be even a contender, if this would be like, oh, just another Mario
probably
game.
not. Yeah, no,
Probably
probably
not.
not.
Probably not. Just like Sonic. Like, it not even a contender, even though that game has great art direction too. Not even a contender. Now, granted, this one has the Wonder Seeds, so, like, there is a lot of crazy shit going on, but, like, I'm sorry if it's only because this is a new Mario. Finally.
Yeah.
And being a finally doesn't deserve an award. I'm sorry.
And then Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is just Breath of the Wild as far as like art. So
They added a bunch of Zonai stuff. There's the new temples. There's the whole depths. There's the Sky
yeah,
Islands.
okay, the depths, yeah.
There's
And
the Sky Islands. They,
yeah.
I know they're not huge, but it's still a whole.
No,
new
they're there,
area.
and they're a huge part of the
and
game,
it's
but,
all
like-
new design because we're looking at art direction,
Yeah.
and that's a whole new designed area. They added 2
Yeah.
whole new designed
Same with
areas.
like underneath, same with the sky.
And then all the Zonai stuff, the temples, they added more. I think like like temples were a lot better than the Divine Beast art wise by miles. Just because the Divine Beasts look the same in every single one. Temples at least were unique. All the shrines have a whole new art style. They had to make art styles for all the vehicles and all that. I think it deserves more than just being a Breath of the Wild clone for art direction. But it still goes to Liza P.
I was just gonna say, like, it didn't challenge me. Lies of P made me like stop and think about what I thought about in Pinocchio, but we can move
Yeah.
on.
Absolutely.
Ooh, this is
Best
gonna be
narrative.
spicy.
Whoa.
Ooh, the nominees are Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077, Final Fantasy 16, Marvel's Spider-Man 2.
So, I don't want this to go to Baldur's Gate only because it's not focused enough, which is crazy because that's the opposite of what I said about
Thank
Spider-Man
you.
2.
Thank you.
It's it's overwhelming, and like there's something
Yes.
like there's we need to be in between underwhelmed and overwhelmed, and I'd rather be overwhelmed, especially in a video game, because I have time to
Hmm.
digest it. I'm here to play the game, but story wise, no. Alan Wake, that might take it. I haven't even played
Yeah,
it. Cyber
it might do.
Phantom
It might
Liberty
do.
deserves a spot, but here's my problem with it is
Hmm.
what, and this says a lot about it, but what other DLC gets this much recognition? I'm
Because
sorry.
again, I'm telling you, it's technically, and I do mean technically, on a very specific technicality, it's not DLC because they literally went in and reworked a lot of the game. They basically
Yes.
made the game that they pitched us on, and that we were all for. That's what happened.
Yes, but this is
Um,
narrative, keep in mind. So that stuff doesn't
that's what I'm
matter.
saying. But when you remake the game, I guess that counts. No, I don't. I didn't vote this one in. I wouldn't have voted this one in. But in my humble opinion, in my humblest of humble opinions, I feel like Alan Wake 2 has the best narrative, only because the experience that they've crafted for you, my guy,
Yep.
is like nothing else I've seen in a video game space. Like the stuff that they do and the things that they tie back to, like the weird stuff they do with light and projections over the screen and live action stuff. There's a musical in the middle of it. Like it's insane.
I think it deserves it the most. I think it's gonna go either to Baldur's Gate. No, it won't go to Baldur's Gate. It's either gonna go to Cyberpunk or Spider Man. I think Final Fantasy is always just
Okay.
way too over the top for anyone to care enough about the story too much.
1000%. Even though I love Final Fantasy.
Yep. Cyberpunk, I've heard that story is phenomenal. Like I don't want to downplay that, but it is a DLC. Spider-Man's just Spider-Man and it's huge and it still is a good story, but man, they didn't do enough and I think you'll agree with me once you play it.
Nah,
I just wish they did a
now.
little more and everyone I've talked to says, "Yeah, like man, they hit all the marks, but I wish they just did a little more."
Yeah, they wish they pushed the envelope a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, and then Spider Man is tricky too as far as just a narrative because like Spider Man's done everything,
Yeah. Yeah,
so it's
absolutely.
tricky.
Yep.
So it's tricky.
I think Alan Wake deserves it. My vote's going to Alan Wake.
My vote's going to Alan Wake as well. Moving
Moving on.
on.
Best
Ooh,
game
best game
direction.
direction.
Ooh,
Ooh, this
so
is
our
good. This is good.
nominees
Spicy.
are Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I want to hear your thoughts, Anthony.
So let's see something. I'm thinking Alan Wake 2, just because again, the experience, insane. Baldur's Gate 3, it's fine. Like, I guess because it is so big and because it is like such a dizzying kind of experience, the direction to like have all of that handled is impressive. Marvel Spider-Man 2, I mean, they did it great the first time. Super Mario Brothers Wonder, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, I, I love it, but Breath of the Wild, like Alan Wake 2, good. Real good.
Here's okay. So here's why my vote's going to Tears of the Kingdom. The description awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. Well, the main map's the same. That's the biggest complaint from Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom that makes it feel like, oh, it's the same thing over again. Okay, fine. But then they added the sky and the depth, so they more than doubled the map in size
They
and
did.
added stuff. And then on top of that, they added the most technical physics engine I have ever seen with the merging of stuff and building stuff. I mean,
Oh yeah, no, the Ultra Hand
So-
kind of pushes it to the next level.
exactly. And so when we look at the definition of this, outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design, Tears of the Kingdom, I think, brought the most innovation to the direction and the design. Because they also brought more of a story in with it, unlike Breath of the Wild. While it wasn't the greatest way to tell it, they still did. And so while I think Alan Wake also deserves it, so does Baldur's Gate 3. Alan Wake, I don't think innovated enough from what I've seen. I mean, yes, they innovated on their gameplay. I haven't played it. I haven't played it. So
Okay, I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one.
and Baldur's Gate 3, there's previous Baldur's Gates, like it's not like this is brand spanking new, and on top of that, they did just copy. They took D&D's homework and copied it for video games.
Literally. Yeah,
Which
no,
there
literally.
is, I mean, that is innovation in video game direction and design still. But I think the
Mhm.
fact that The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom created something that has not been done before,
Yeah.
that
Okay.
is more innovative
Okay.
than anything else.
Okay. Okay. I want Alan Wake to win so bad, but you know what? I smart pick. I'm moving on.
Moving on. Game
Oh, there it
of the
goes. Coveted game of the year. We're
year.
finally here, man. It's been a journey to get here. We have
It
Alan Wake
has.
2, Baldur's Gate 3, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. So here's the thing. I want Alan Wake 2 to win. Alan Wake 2 is not gonna win. Baldur's Gate 3 is probably gonna win.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and if it's not Baldur's Gate 3, just going off Metacritic alone, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom would probably win.
I think I want Alan Wake to win because I want more people to learn about this game and play it. I think they are
It's
fantastic games.
insane.
I can't wait to play it. Only reason why I haven't is just based on my experience with one. I don't think it's a $70 experience. I don't think it's. And honestly, my biggest gripe with it is the 9 hours. And I know at the time that game was $60. If that game was brand new, I'd tell you the same thing. It's not worth $60.
Yeah, no.
It's there's just not
I
enough
will
game.
say, yeah, no, Alan Wake 2, it gives you game. It gives you a lot of game. It's
Okay.
about twice as long. It's like 18 to
18.
20 hours, 15 to 20, something like that. Depending on how you play. But yeah, no, it definitely gives you more game, more mechanics, more stuff to think about. I got a whole Alan Wake 2 review that I owe you guys, and it's coming. Don't you worry. But yeah, no. Because here's the thing. I like Alan Wake 2, but do I think it's a bigger and more bombastic game than Baldur's Gate 3? No. Do I think it's a bigger and more bombastic and even a more polished game than Baldur's Gate 3 or Zelda Tears of the Kingdom? No. So it's definitely going to be a strong third, and if it wins, that's going to be the ultimate upset, but I think Baldur's Gate 3 is taking this one home.
Baldur's Gate 3 is going to win. I am going to give my vote, though, even though I want Alan Wake to win the most out of all these. Genuinely, solely so it gets more attention. And it's going to get a lot of attention by having already this many nominations. That
Oh
alone
yeah.
gets it attention because people see that and they go, oh, okay, I got to try this if it's up here this much. I want it to go to Zelda, though, because that it's just like I don't know. Like I guess I'm biased. I'm a huge Zelda
No,
fan.
it's fine.
Always have
It's
been.
okay. I'm biased too.
Of course, yeah. Towards Alan Wake, like like your childhood, like it's part of your childhood, right? Like
Love that game.
I do. And the really shitty thing is Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Same with Alan Wake too. Both deserve a Game of the Year spot, but they don't deserve it over Baldur's Gate 3 because if you're looking again for the third time today, the main point of a game is to be a game, and you get the most game out of Baldur's Gate 3 for your money without a question, like unequivocally.
Yeah, there are like 17,000 different variations of the ending. Like you can play however you want to play.
By like level 5, there's over like 1,000 different combinations you could have for a build already. Like it's insane,
Something like that, yeah.
absolutely insane. And so I think Zelda is a better all around game for anyone to pick up and play. Baldur's Gate
Yes.
3 is not for everyone by any stretch of the word. Neither is Alan Wake. Alan Wake's for more of that cinematic experience. I think
Yeah.
Zelda, anyone could have a good time with, for the most part.
You know something? I'm gonna flip it. I think Zelda might win it. I think Zelda might take it over Baldur's Gate.
I think Zelda has a chance, but it's not going to, I don't think.
I mean, yeah, because I know the PC nerds are gonna come out, and I'm a PC nerd too. I have it on PlayStation 5. Everybody relax. All the PC nerds are gonna come out of their little holes and be like, "One CRPG to rule them all," and then that's just what's gonna happen.
Shoot, you have people that are big D&D fans that aren't big gamers that bought this game just because it's so similar to D&D. So you might have that group too. You also have,
Oh, man.
think about all the people you have that literally just play big mainstream games they see on social media.
This is the game they play.
There you go. Like I mean,
This is the game
it's
they
it's
play.
gonna take it. Like I'm gonna give my vote to Tears of the Kingdom because I think it arguably, I don't know if it deserves it more, but It's arguable.
You wanted to win more,
And
and like
I
no,
want
I
it.
want Alan Wake 2 to win Game of the Year. I don't think it's gonna. I think it's gonna be solid third if we tally up the votes. But yeah, no, I don't think so.
I'd be
Talk about it,
happier
correct.
to see Alan Wake win over Zelda, but I want Zelda to win.
Now, time out. If Control had come out this year, as opposed in place of Alan Wake, we might be having a different conversation.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That game took the world by storm when it first came out.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
like again, boom, and we are at the end of our nominees. It's been a great year for gaming, dog.
It has been. It absolutely has been. I am shocked at what we've
All the games,
seen.
right?
Yes. And I'm really curious to see what we're going to be looking at this time next year for Game of the Year, because upcoming games for next year is actually looking pretty slim. It feels like a lot of the heavy
Very
hitters
slim.
came out this year, and
And I
honestly,
wonder why. I don't know why that
I'm
is.
I'm okay with that because I need time to catch up. Like, as we kind of talked about going through this, I
Yeah.
haven't played a lot of these, and that's solely because of
Maybe that was the
time.
plan.
I don't have time. I think a lot of the reason why all these games came out this year is these are a lot of COVID babies, and they finally
Yes?
all these games were released 1-2 years ago, more spread out, I bet. But COVID just halted all of them for the most part.
Oh yeah, 1000%. 1000%.
And so I think a
mean,
lot
I
of these
don't
are
know.
COVID babies.
I feel like, well, a lot of them probably COVID babies, but I don't know. I feel like everyone's just decided like this year we got to get it out because I feel like they knew next year is a little slim, is a little skimpy, a little slim. The only game that we might can hope to come out next year is Stalker 2.
Yeah.
And then maybe GTA 6 if they call it GTA 6. But oh, and The Last of Us Part 2 remastered. How could I forget?
Oh yeah, so
Um,
exciting.
I'm so
Game of
excited
the
for
year.
this game that came out 3 years ago. Listen, it happened once, it can happen again.
I don't
So
want
yeah,
it.
next
I
year
don't
might
want
not be as good of a year. We might see the rise of the AA game. Who knows? I'm excited to go into the new year and
Yeah.
see what's up. I'm also excited for this Grand Theft Auto trailer that's probably gonna drop after the Game Awards,
Oh, I bet.
unless
It might be during.
again. It might be during. That's what I was gonna say. Either right before or like we're gonna like, all right, and we're thank you to Rockstar Games and
It's it's gonna
just play the
be
trailer real quick. Keep it
it's
going.
gonna be commercial during or right after. It's got to be during when everyone's watching because so many people drop off as soon as it ends. So
How
it's
many people drop off as soon as it starts?
yeah.
But I mean, yeah. So yeah, Grand Theft Auto 6, and then yeah, it's not a lot next year, but yeah. AJ, I don't have anything I want to tell the people. You have anything you want to tell the people?
As always, thank you for watching and please subscribe for more mediocre content. Would love to see your guys' comments down below what you think should be game of the should
Tell
be
us
game
how
of the year.
bad we pissed you off because we hate Starfield.
Yeah, give me all the hate in the comments about my comment about Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter 6 being similar. They
we go.
are tough. My opinion's right, yours is wrong, but that's how it's gonna be.
All right, and with that being said, peace, mediocre gamer fam. We will see you in the next video.
Later.